Welcome everyone to the Master Box, where today we have another riveting Steel Division 2 game brought to you by the Steel Division League monthly tournament. With me co-casting will be the Grand Slam. Graham, take it away.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. So here on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have Colonel Koneig playing 16th Panzer Maverick, and on the right, we have Spectacular playing 2nd New Zealand V for Victory. And just right off the bat, the map is what's the map?
I can't remember the name. I can never remember the names. I always have to look them up too. So if you're ever out there watching this, trying to figure it out, I think it's this. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Cassiano is the one with the big valley. Yeah, I think this is Yoshi. Yeah, so we see pretty standard opening for both players here, except that 25-pounder by Spectacular at the front. That is not very standard, but everything else for the most part.
I think he's using it as 2KHE.
I think he is as well. Very surprised there. SPW is on the move, more towards the middle of the map. Some down south to help deal with like the little stack counts, which did work. Although one of them has moved up north there, and typically SPWs will win out against stack counts.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if the 6-pounder 57 mil does anything down south. Well, its APCR shells have a 1,000-meter range, so that means it's going to be firing its normal. But wait, this machine gun's going to ruin that thing's day.
Yeah. This is I would say a decent start here so far for Colonel Koneig. He's got some very early SPW aggression, which is what you're going to see out of 16th Panzer, which you may assume based off being the King Tiger deck. Really, King Tigers aren't that common for it. It's heavy SPW play, Panzer 4Hs, and once upon a time, extreme Focke-Wulf usage.
Yeah, I think that them and Panzer Lair were really good about spamming Focke-Wulf 190s and just making your life hell.
Yeah, the difference was I think 16 Panzer had better, not only had better Focke-Wulfs, because there is like the bad resiliency one, right? The one that isn't as good.
Yeah.
So 16 Panzer had the better Focke-Wulfs. I think it had a better variety that you could bring as well, because it had the, it had one, I forget exactly how they worked out, but it had better combination, plus it had an anti-tank one, which was kind of nice.
Oh, yeah,
and the tank tab was a little more, wasn't Panther reliant.
Yeah, no, the rockets on that Focke-Wulf were fantastic. One thing I'm really surprised to see here is Spectacular with the income advantage just getting pushed around in A-phase. And V for Victory, like, if you play it, kudos to you, but it's a rough thing to play sometimes. So I'm curious to see if he'll be able to retake this position, because I know if 16th Panzer takes where this Carcadums, the motor rifles, and that 25-pounder are, it's a nightmare to take back.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think like 16th Panzer is going to want to be, if you're V for Victory, hyper aggressive. You need to utilize the early vehicle advantage you have. Second New Zealand's, the stack hounds and Stewarts they can trade very poorly sometimes against the SPWs. If the SPWs with the heat shell are hitting, they're one-tapping these units, right? So it can create kind of like a negative feedback loop there, where you're really starting to just, autocannon train can go burr, right?
Oh no, autocannon train always go burr. I'm going to point something out real quick, though. If you look at what Colonel Koenig's doing on that area, all the ones with heat shells aren't like set up to fire heat shells. They're set up just to fire AP.
And probably for range purposes.
Fair point. But
ammo as well, right? Don't they only carry 6 shells?
5 or 6,
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you don't want the heat shell. You only want to use like when you feel like you've got like a legit shot. Like you don't want it wasting your heat shells.
True, and then when you're only fighting this light armor, I can understand why he turned off the heat shells. I would just be afraid if I was him of the Shermans popping in, but then again, he's got Panzer Shreks everywhere. So I think he's right for what he's doing here with that little micro move.
We see him actually getting out some early AA, which I'm not against that, because he has kind of set up a forward position here. If it's 13, 11, 12, 12 for most of A, you're really happy with that as the Maverick player against the Vanguard. No real advantage here. We see the stack counts are pushing forward in that middle position here. One of them is probably going to go down right here to a Panzer Shrek.
Honestly, I'm going to say both of them are going to go down to the Panzer Shrek.
One's dead. I did panic the SPW 2v1, so a lot of SPWs did die there, which is a positive there for Spectacular.
Yes.
But there is a Tiger coming onto the field here. I wonder if he brought it for the AP. The AP's 20, that's 1,500 meters.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was 2,000.
Oh god, this Panzer Shrek just killed two.
Yeah, it's killed 2.
2 of the recon vehicles, and now he's chasing a Stewart. Oh.
He might get it. And then also, if you can get on top, kill that 85 mil, that's 75 points down the drain. Up in the north, there is a little bit of action going on, but Colonel Koenig's kind of just trying to hold his end of the forest, which is smart. You really don't want to be tagging with the Maori and the Catadormus is inside like CQC, so you rather just use your MG42s, hold your end of the forest.
Yeah, and then even though the Maori have 2 MG42s,
34s.
Oh yeah, 2 MG34s. I really still think that they can do really well. I think they're a really good jack of all trades, master of none squad, where they can do both long range suppression and close range due to the fact they have the
better
Thompsons.
than they used to be. They used to be pretty expensive for what they brought to the table. Nowadays they're 20. I think they were 30 points.
I think you're right.
I believe when they launched, and then now they've been nerfed, or buffed to 25. Yeah, they're a decent unit. I don't love Maori, but I don't dislike them. It's just I wouldn't want to. If you're engaging Panzer Grenadiers with 42s, you're eventually just going to lose that fight.
Yeah.
They do have the what is it? Not indomitable. What's the trait where they won't?
Fanatic.
Fanatical trait. Yeah.
Yep. One other thing I want to point out, you mentioned earlier about the mobile wagon coming in for an AA net. You also see a flak 20 mil and a flak track down south even further. So I think that what we're seeing here is Colonel Koenig is really setting himself up for success for future pushes, knowing that Spectacular may panic and buy an aircraft. So I want to point out that amazing purchase of support units to enable him to push further as the game goes on.
I think the big thing, it's amazing if it works out, right? If it doesn't work out, then you spend a lot of points on AA that does nothing. So it's kind of like a dual-edged sword. Like if you're trying to set up, what he's trying to set up the back work, right? The support element to an eventual like game-breaking push. The downside to that is that you're spending, that's 160 plus points on units that aren't going to influence the front line for a while. Might not matter at all, but it's just something to keep in, your back pocket there, especially because the air power for 2nd New Zealand, while it's decent, there's nothing there to kill tanks, right? So like if let's say he saved up and bought the King Tiger and brought it out, he would have to just HE bomb the bailout there.
Oh, the 17-pounder bailout, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's insanely bad RNG right there. Though he is well within range at 17-pounder to penetrate the Tiger. Yeah, and there it goes. Huge pick there for Spectacular.
The 25-pounder just killed a Panzer IV using AP shell. What's going on?
Yeah, you gotta respect it. It does have the AP shell ability. You don't see that used very often. I probably would rather just bring a 17-pounder or something, but it does have HE, right? So there's a thought process there. It's kind of like with the Soviet M30 gun, right? Where the, very similar vibes. On that now a lot of momentum here for Spectacular.
Yeah, the one that actually gets radio in the Soviet decks. The fact I've used that as AT guns in a really bad pinch before because that 76 mil can still kill shit. You take additional damage.
The big boy one, the 120.
The 120. Oh, like the A19 where it's like the IS-2 cannon where you use that as an AT shell?
I believe it's the M30 is what it's called.
Oh, the 122. See, I've used, like, I play a lot of 10v10s.
152, I believe.
And I've used a lot of Soviet big artillery as just anti-tank and really bad binds.
A19 might be one. No, the A19 is a 150, isn't it?
I think it's either a 122 or a 150, but it's the same one the IS-2 has, so... because it's an A19 cannon. Yeah, so it'd be a 122, yeah. It's just, it has a lot better accuracy than the standard D30 or whatever it is. Oh, and then the Spitfire goes down to the Focke-Wulf up north. But wait.
Yeah, you don't want to tango with the Focke-Wulfs up there.
No, but that means Colonel Koenig has 2 Focke-Wulf 190 buys. That's 220 points that he's invested in that.
Yeah, he has a lot of air power right now. Between air power and the AA bot and then that Tiger, that's a lot of points that he's dumped recently into really heavy kind of like units. We do see this Focke-Wulf trying to dive in right here. Gonna get some bombing runs on the Maori, but it won't deal with the Stuart. I'm trying to see what AA piece was that.
It's the thing that brought in the 17-pounder, I think. The Brera 20 mil.
The Brera.
It's either that or
be enough on its own to dissuade, but it'll do a couple things here or there. He has restabilized Colonel Koenig the north there. He's trying to deal with the kind of like the middle town push in the valley or upper middle, and whereas the southern portion of the map, because the map is kind of split in half. especially from the angle that we cast from mostly. You can really view it that way. He's kind of stabilized. So this infantry push here with the Catadormus could be get a little juice, maybe a little momentum. Ooh, we see multiple 17-pounders actually coming out.
Oh,
yeah,
this
I think
is...
if I'm Colonel Koenig, you just need to dive further into the Fokker Wolf. Like, the Fokker Wolf pairing train needs to become a thing where you're kind of like, as you're getting into B now, you buy, for a couple minutes, you just buy one a minute.
Oh, I'm going to point something out. In the center, we're seeing a miss micro from Spectacular.
Yeah,
He turned off, he left the rifles on for the Catadrums. So he was actually fighting at over 100 meters against these Panzer Grenadiers MG-34s. And they just died.
Yeah, and so now he has a very strong southern position push going here. There are some diggers coming up and a 17-pounder, but there's an opportunity here to get some real damage done and take a more advanced position for Colonel Koenig, and he's clearly seizing on it. Love to see that. Very experienced player, recognizing that he has some momentum here. And considering the trades that happen for Spectacular, you would kind of expect it to be the opposite direction, where you see a pickoff of a Panther 4, you see a pickoff of a Tiger Tiger Leader, right?
Yeah.
No, in reality, you know, Colonel Koenig has won enough of the smaller fights that he still has the momentum here.
I think that he feels confident enough with the trades he's making on the infantry side that he's able to push in, because if you look here, it's just a lot of CQC. Well, actually, not many CQC troops, but he's pushing the pain train through with the autocannons.
He's very old school.
The tracks, yeah.
He has a very old school style. Like, you're using the SPWs, you got half track support, and you're just you're basically using base Panzer Grenadiers and getting them to 2-vet, and kind of going like 2-vet Panzer Grens will deal with just about anything. I mean, that's essentially what we're seeing here. The second New Zealand MG42 killing the German MG42 is funny.
Yeah.
This 17-pounder has been brought up there on that hill line, but if that middle position kind of collapses here, he's in danger. Plus, those diggers, Piet, getting caught in the open there, bad positioning there by Spectacular.
Oh, no.
That's the Panzerbücher flat. Half track.
Okay, this Sherman 3, if he doesn't see this Panzergren squad, he's just going to keep running, because if you look at his order, it's a fast attack move. He's just going to run down this road and get a Panzerfaust shot to the side. Ooh.
Might.
He's going to get it.
Yeah, Colonel Koenig recognize it. Oh, but he sees him now. Now he's going to try and get it. He's going to get a shot off, I think, one.
Oh!
Yeah, and right as he gets stunned. Yeah. Really good moves there by Colonel Koenig. Great micro. You're kind of just seeing his, his age play out right there. He's very experienced.
Yep.
And you're witnessing it in a lot of these moves here, where he's handled the adversity very well. He understands the flow of the game, and that's really put him in a position where I think that, another player, they're probably on the back foot here, whereas him now, he's really taking advantage of it. Plus the decision-making for the unit buys for some Spectacular here. Like, he bought 3 17-pounders in the past couple minutes. I think that's overkill. Especially because if you get a max range fight against the King Tiger, if he bought it, which he just did, which, sometimes 16 Panzer players won't even bring the King Tiger. You're just doing it for the Fokker Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not even going to be able to kill it.
No, I think what we're seeing here, like, one thing I have a problem with are the 2 17-pounders in the center. One 17-pounder would do it, and then put a Bofors 40 mil behind it, because that Fokker Wolf pain train will wipe out any advanced anti-tank that they run into.
Yeah, and we're seeing here just the German infantry paired with the SPWs is kind of been insurmountable for Spectacular. His Shermans haven't really contributed much, just and then his Stuarts, they're kind of all dead, so all the light vehicles he had early as they tangled the SPWs are gone.
Yeah.
He needs, probably if I was him, to focus more on the north. Like, he should have been able to win the northern fight just based off raw infantry advantage and composition. That hasn't happened.
Yeah, but I think he's trying to plug the gap. Yeah, but he also only has 90 points, so this is like a Maverick player in C phase. Like, we haven't really mentioned it, but this is the pain train of the V for Victory. Like, this is where you are your own sadomasochist, because you're going into this knowing that you're going to be 80 points down from your opponent. So you have to have some form of, like, at least a defensive line built up if your opponent's super, like, aggressive.
Yeah, and we see it already here. Both Fokker Wolves each going to a different 17-pounder. I mean, if this happens here, you can almost call it game. Just because of the raw point trades. Like, you can't afford to lose high-value units like this at this stage of the game, especially with the income disadvantage. So one's going to
both what?
1 HP? That's wild, actually. The Gorilla here can push forward and get the kills, and it will.
Yeah, no, he's doing that right now, too. But that's I've never seen Focke-Wulfs fail to kill a stationary 17-pounder. Like, what's going on?
I think they have the 250s.
Oh, the lighter bomb loadouts, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's possible because of the higher HP pool of the 17-pounder. I mean, it doesn't matter. The Gorilla's going to mop them up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the SPW's here running down, trying to do damage, being very aggressive. They're going to die here. Probably a little bit of an overcommitment. But, Colonel Koenig right now is firmly in the driver's seat here. This King Tiger is going to sit up top here with the Gorilla and take advantage of this position. And the entire middle now is kind of susceptible. A 40 mil Bofors gun has now been brought out towards the middle. But you got to think about it this time. That's 80 points being spent in B phase for a V for Victory player when his front line's breaking. So it just kind of becomes a cascading series of events.
Yeah.
And it's why, I've said this a couple times, I don't like V for Victory. I don't think it's a good 1v1 income. Some people may disagree with me on that. But I think you need to have a sizable skill advantage over your opponent to win with it. Or the map just has to be extremely... too many factors, right? There's too many variables there.
I agree.
9 out of 10 times, if you want to play V for Victory, just play balanced.
You're right. I think the V for Victory, it allows you to experience, like, the two ends where you get a balanced and a Vanguard, kind of. But you have to know what you're doing, and, like, as an experienced player, like you said... Like, if you know your opponent's really good and this is going to turn into a grind fest, just use your income advantage and then just build up more and more and more shit to be able to absorb their, push, or at least try to, like, get a one flag advantage. Just a one flag advantage against a Maverick player will throw everything out of whack for them.
Yeah, I think there's some value to it, but like I said, I just don't think that if you're thinking of playing V for Victory, the odds are there's a better income for you to play.
Oh no, I agree completely for your average player.
I think that's almost any player, to be honest with you. I think that the issues for V for Victory, is it cool? Is it funny? I'm sure it's great in 10v10s.
It's fun in 10v10s.
You're opening yourself, making yourself too susceptible. Like, you're basically saying, I'm not going to make mistakes. There's not going to be issues here. RNGs, this isn't going to fuck me, right? Like, all these different things are going to happen. And sometimes for the greatest players in the game, like Nilla, for example, used to play V for Victory sometimes. But I also casted games that he lost because he played V for Victory, right? So there's a thing there where, to me, V for Victory is a symptom of a problem for SC2, which is that there's too many income choices. But
hot take, okay.
Yeah, I think there's too many. I think there should probably be 3. I thought 3 was great. I think always thought. I mean, even then, like, Vanguard and Maverick, they're kind of like the same thing, just changing when the push is coming, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I think every income but V for Victory and Juggernaut have had its day in the sun in ST2's lifespan, so that should kind of tell you something.
That is true, and it's been a long lifespan. It's been since 2019, like 5 years. Right. Like, everyone's played everything at this point.
Right. So I mean, older players here that still watch and listen, they'll remember the Vanguard days where
I remember those.
First Polish dominated. You'll remember the days when Flatline was the income at 130 and everybody played Flatline, and we had Flatline on Flatline. Then you had what eventually became the Maverick dominance, which still exists to a degree today, but I think probably nowadays Maverick and Balanced are very even, and it really does. Like, division matchups matter now. Map really matters when you're doing that kind of income advantage. But there's a reason why V for Victory and Juggernaut have not taken off, and it's because at the end of the day they're just not that good. Like, people want to be like, I'm special, I'm better, I'm gonna make it work. And it's like, yeah, bro, it might work sometimes on ladder. That's true, but you're not that special.
No, at that point you're right. Like, for an average 1v1, just jumping in game, honestly, balanced if you want to play the long drawn out game.
Right. And if you're not aggressive, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to point something out here. Earlier we saw the Focke-Wulf with the AT rockets kill a Sherman, and since then we've just been watching Colonel Koenig just push through.
This is why we had the rant here about incomes, because this game's over. Colonel Koenig has firmly won this game. There's zero chance of spectacular. The front's broken. When the front is broken against a Maverick player, and this is where the income also really matters, right? Like, 90 points versus what is it, 130?
170.
No, I'm saying B for a balance player, be 130.
160 to 80. So you're looking at an 80-point difference there. So it's literally the same as the B phase for the just the player swip swaps.
Yeah, but it comes at a crucial point. Like, comes at a very crucial point in the game. Like when
Yeah.
the Maverick player, like when the balance player finally hits his income advantage, there's been 20 minutes of game time played. And it also still takes 5-ish minutes for the incomes to firmly meet, right? So
Yeah.
some things have happened. There's a lot of variables in play. For the V for Victory player, having the income switch 10 minutes into the game to you just were rolling with 135 points and now you have 90 points, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and like you have to know. Like again, you're right with that V for Victory. I will just take your point that the balance would have been a better choice here. Just allowing him to go, what is it, 115, 130,
We're
155?
saying 130. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's much more consistent across the board. I also like the only time I think like so we're on it and we have some time to kill, and the game is essentially over. The Falco's coming in there getting some free bombing runs. The Breda's not going to be enough.
No, the
To
North is
just win.
breaking too at this point.
Yeah. No, this is GG for sure. I'm honestly not sure why Spectacularly still in the game. I would have left, but there's a hey, more power to you. At the end of the
He is
day, like,
determined.
yeah, I got it.
That 1700
I got
better unload.
There could have been a lot of money on the line. But like V for Victory, I guess if you were able to counterpick against someone going Vanguard, could probably work really well.
I like that because
gonna,
you're in the same income at that point, basically. Like 140 to 135. Oh no, my B phase is a little weaker.
But also, I've always thought like if you just purely want to counter Vanguard, Flatline's the better pick. Like if you just want to counter, yeah, look at the points. It's 125 across the board, so you're going to be down what 10 points in A. That's really not a lot. Then you're up. What is it? 135 to 115. Is it?
Yeah, then it goes down to 90. So then you have.
Then it goes into 90 and you
yeah.
see 125. Yeah, so it's slower paced. But flatline. So but that's also where then we're getting really into the micro elements of the income picks.
Yeah.
And I just don't, how often is that valid, right? That's in an extreme tournament setting, and you're probably know your opponent, and you're second guessing each other, and it's does that even happen in the SC2 community anymore? I doubt it, right?
Like, I mean,
think that level of intensity in tournaments, I don't think exists anymore.
I think that with the actual Steel Division League kind of like going tits up, that doesn't happen anymore because it's mostly just like the monthly tournaments. It's like that whole
Yeah, people are playing for fun. Instead of just having to play in the ladder, you're playing a tournament game. You want to win, right? We're competitive, but there's no. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: I'm not casting on my Twitch channel with 115 people in there, right, for a finals match, right? That stuff doesn't happen anymore.
No.
For a variety of reasons: length, time. We all get older, more shit's going on. I don't think the game. It's not that I don't think the game is as good. I think the problem is the more you play like other Eugene, especially like you compare it to other titles, the map pool for SC2 really holds it back. The older you get, you're kind of like, damn, bro, do I really want to throw down on Krupo another time? Or
the bridges. No, not the bridges. Jesus Christ.
So, and then it's like, let me get on play an SC2 match, and then what do you instantly get? Krupa. It's like the game's telling you to go, go take a hike, like go touch some grass. Right? Like,
what's grass?
Right, what is that? We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But we play Eugene games. But yeah, so I think that for me that's kind of where it comes to stuff like this. So like here, which game looked very close for a period of time, but small decisions matter. Like when you're playing somebody of like Colonel Koenig's caliber, you also have to remember like he's ancient in terms of the game. Like the dude's been playing the game since 5th French was like the best division in it. So you gotta remember and take those things into account, and you gotta win them small little battles. And at the end of the day, it just didn't happen. This turned into a giant rout. Also, if you're spectacular, I would recommend just leaving because I think it makes your opponent feel better too.
He doesn't feel like.
Maybe they're joking in the chat, and we can't see that, right?
That's
funny.
fair, yeah.
And it's just like they don't know. We don't know how the game's going to go before we cast it. We just see the two. And typically, if you see a 25-minute match, I'm assuming either the Maverick player decisively won, which in this case he did, or the balanced player held, and the Maverick player said, "Okay, I'm not going to win this game in a long period of time," and he'll dip. This obviously turned out to be a
The Maverick player just getting over it. Yeah, but it was really close in certain points.
There was
But
periods.
with the trades that Colonel Koenig was able to do against Spectacular, I think that those small trades in A phase, even though Spectacular had the income advantage, led him to get that breakthrough with like Colonel
Yeah.
Koenig just pushing through the South. You know.
There's two big chunks of it which I think really changed the game. The first one occurs roughly around the 8:30 minute mark, 8:20 minute mark, where you can just see Colonel Koenig. Like there's just too many kills there at that critical period of the transition. Excuse me,
Yeah.
into incomes for 16 Panzer. And then it stabilizes a little bit. You can see that, and you scroll down to the 17-minute mark, and it's just another one. So in two critical phases in the transitionary period of the incomes, Colonel Koenig piles up a bunch of kills, and that can just be really hard to deal with.
Pardon me.
Bless you.
Oh,
Don't
thank
die.
you. But no, you're right, and I like to say great job to both players. If you've made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will be
Yes.
back with more fun SD2 content as we keep getting it. Graham,
Wow.
anything that you want to say?
No.
All right, bye everyone.